It's a tale of two chip stocks. AMD sinking today while Micron soared, and the move has highlighted a strange divergence. Let's get to Dom Chu in the newsroom for all the details. Hey, Dom.
Well, Melissa, chip stocks have been at the center of a lot of trader chatter over the last couple of weeks, and for good reason. An industry group that had assumed a good amount of market leadership over the past few years has now been pretty locked in a trading range so far this year. But the VanEck Vectors Semiconductor ETF, that ticker SMH, is still up around 8% in 2018. Given today's positive price action. But you dig a little deeper, though, and you'll see that over the medium term, there's a pretty big segmentation between the haves and the have-nots in the chip space. Over the last 6 months, only around 5 of the 25 stocks in that index ETF have posted positive returns. And the variance between the best and worst performers is pretty wide. On the upside, you've got Advanced Micro Devices, AMD, up a whopping 156% or so in that span. Meanwhile, one of the worst performers has been memory chip maker Micron, which has lost over a quarter of its value. Micron is one of hedge fund manager David Tepper's top holdings at Appaloosa Management, and earlier today on the halftime report, he talked about why he's still in the trade.
We obviously think so because it's one of the stocks we haven't reduced as much. So it's become, even though we reduced our portfolio, it's a bigger part of our actual equity portfolio than it was before. Although we did reduce it somewhat, but just less. So it is a bigger part of our portfolio.
So, from the horse's mouth, David Tepper, a bull on Micron, still bullish despite the downside price action. We'll see if those chip stocks and their divergences hold, or whether they can be bullish and at least provide some kind of an inkling towards that bullish trade overall in the market for the upside. Melissa, back over to you guys.
All right, Dom, thanks. Dom Chu in the newsroom. Well, our next guest says stick with the chip winners. Let's go off the charts with Todd Gordon of TradingAnalysis.com. Hi, Todd.
Hey, Melissa. Yeah, the semis have obviously been the focus of all the the trading community. And just before we jump into the charts, let me just put something out there to just show how bifurcated the semis are. If you look at the SMH, since November of 2017, we're at the same level. So there's some winners and there's some losers. First two we're going to start out with are the underperformers, which is Intel. Intel's been under a lot of pressure here. So to put it in context, we're going back to 2009, the bottom of the credit crisis. And let's just gauge how big each of the major corrections has been. There's been 4 main corrections. Number one right here, you can see that I've got it kind of laid out here for you, a 25% loss over 15 weeks. Again, up here, we've doubled it, 34% in 29 weeks, 35% in 38 weeks. Here's where we are right now. As much as Intel's been underperforming, we're down 21% in just 14 weeks. So if history is any guide, I would say that this underperformance in Intel is still a little immature and has a little ways to go. So I think if the market is going to continue to kind of go sideways, Intel could continue to be under pressure until we start to match up these prior corrections. The other laggard in the Intels and the chips, no surprise, is going to be Micron. So as we flip over here, and Micron is going to show us an amazing chart. I know we can do it. When it comes up there, just give me the heads up. There we go. This chart is amazing. Again, we're going back to that 2009 low, and it just shows how well contained in this beautiful uptrend channel we happen to be. I put the same chart out here about a month ago on Fast Money. We're starting to back off. Now, Micron is in the upper end of resistance. This is the upper channel resistance. If this kind of downturn in Micron, if it's truly a cyclical stock, as reflected by the technicals, we could get down and start to see another 30, 40, 50% loss in MU. So there's no support in sight from this chart on Micron. Now we flip over and look at the two strong ones that we're looking at here. So next up, I think, is going to be NVIDIA. This is a fairly a stock that's had a great, amazing run. We're kind of falling into a little bit of consolidation. What I want to do is just draw your attention for you traders out there. Look at this nice little pattern right here. I'm going to draw it for you. It's a nice rally up to a new all-time high, and then basically what I'm going to do is pull it up here. It does a little 3-wave pullback. You buy into some support, and then you expect a new high. The exact same thing just happened right here as we're approaching the new all-time highs. You have a little 3-wave pullback, and we're looking for support to come in and buy that. A kicker, this drop right here was 7%. This drop right here was exactly 7%. So there's a lot of patterns and symmetry in this market. Finally, AMD, amazing stock here. Look at this chart. This one just blows my mind. 1973, I think this stock IPO'd. Look how much of a range we've been in for, I think, 47, 48 years. This channel right here is sourced from 2001. We just started to break above that right now. If we do a little bit of fib multiples, I'll spare you the gory details, but if you take a fib multiple, if this is the real deal in terms of an impulsive, a trend breakout, the first upside objective in AMD on a break of this is $86 in AMD, and that's a minimum upside target. So we could just be getting started here in AMD. I think this chart's amazing.
Amazing. All right, Todd, thanks. Todd Gordon, tradinganalysis.com. Let's trade it. Trade it or fade it, we should do now.
Okay,
right?
let's play a game. It's the first one of the night, Mel.
I know,
chomping
really.
at the bit.
30 minutes in.
31 minutes in.
That's all right. We're going to do this. Intel, trade it or fade it. Dan?
I think you trade it. This stock is down 20% from those recent highs a few months ago. It's been a bad summer of news. You know, they lost their CEO. They had to push out their 10-nanometer chip. That was one of the reasons why AMD has had such this big run here. I think there's probably some catalysts coming into the fall here, you know, at 45.5 or so. I think you see a trade back near term, maybe back to 50.
Pete?
Am I trading and fading his?
Yeah.
I'm trading it with him.
Oh, you are? You're with Dan.
I literally just bought Intel the other day. And part of the reason is I think it's a great opportunity because of the fact that they're still searching out for a CEO. I think he's already there, Navin Shenoy. I think he's the guy that's going to actually move this stock to the upside.
All right, let's move on to Micron. Tim, trade it or fade it?
Fade it. Again, unlike Intel, which I think has a much broader business model and certainly has core competency in data center and CPU. Look, the rolling prices in DRAM and NAND are things that at least you have to be concerned about. I don't think that those industries are going away. And in fact, I think there's much better pricing discipline amongst all the major producers there. But no, I don't, cheap is not enough here for me.
Yeah, so you agree with Todd, actually. So, Dan.
Right on, Todd.
Yeah, I'm fading it too. I think a big issue with
that.
the semis right now is not just trade, that we might have seen tons of double ordering in the first half of this year. We also had, look at those iPhones that were just announced. They had 512 megabits of memory, that sort of thing. So I think there was a lot of ordering in the first half of the fade it.
All right, let's move on to AMD. Pete, trade it or fade it?
This one I'm going to fade. Micron I still like. I'd go against you guys on that one. But this one, I just think the run has been too far too fast.
Goes directly against what Todd just said.
Right. And I've actually been in this stock all the way from 13 all the way up to 30 with options, not with stocks. But I don't want to be there anymore. I took off all the positions right now. I'm not involved.
Today was a very interesting reversal. I don't know if you caught that.
Massive.
Today.
Big reversal.
10% reversal off of a multi-year high. I think you see lower lows. I'm with Todd on that one. Oh, no, I'm against Todd on that one.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I like the other stuff he was doing.
That was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to like everything that Todd does, you know.
Okay.
It's hard not to.
Anyway, Karen, trade it or fade it? NVIDIA.
NVIDIA. I got to fade it here. I just, I think of this business, this industry as a cyclical one. This kind of multiple is nowhere anything remotely close to a cyclical type. It's a great company. I wouldn't short it, but fade it. We're only this much off the top.
I'd trade this one. And I usually follow Karen on multiples, but I think there's space in the gaming, and I think these guys continue to actually deliver on new chips there. The chart is a bonus for me, but I think NVIDIA is not one to count against.
Pete, what are you doing? I got to hear what you're doing in NVIDIA.
Why?
Come on, let's put him on the spot. I don't know, because you're like giddy up.
It's a game on top of a game.
You know what? In all honesty, I'm going to go with Tim, and here's why. Until they miss, until their growth stops, that's when that stock continues to go. As soon as they miss, this stock is going
Let's
down.
trade it.